Okay, I'm going to demonstrate at this time how to create the proportions of the human face. So to start off, you're going to draw kind of like an upside down egg. Keep it light because there will be a lot of information that you'll be erasing. And so notice the light gestural quality of line, sort of loose quality of line, right, to get that upside down egg. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a dotted line that runs down through the middle of it. You want to keep all this information really light because you will be erasing most of it. Then I'm going to look for the midpoint, and notice I'm using my hands to kind of assess and ensure it. And so that in that situation I lucked out. But there are times when you just find yourself erasing it and moving it around. So just understand that's part of the process. And here I'm creating a line. It's got a slight arc to it to help create the form, right, the illusion of form, because your face is three-dimensional, it's rounded. And then I am creating these hash marks, right, to kind of assess like how wide my eyes are. You want them to be your head should be approximately 5 eyes wide. All right, so the given information is that your eyes are in the middle of your head. Common mistakes are eyes being drawn too high, and it's an optical illusion. The top of your head is at the crown of your head. And so just to make sure that your eyes are in the middle and that your face is 5 eyes wide. Then we're going to divide the face into thirds. So 1, 2, and see if I can then use that to find the chin. That would bring the chin down about here maybe. Let's try it again to make sure that I'm not making a mistake. 1, 2, I'm going to bring this up a little bit actually in relationship to what I had above. So I have 1, 2, 3. So that's a little bit better, I think. Okay, and then I'm going to divide. So this is where the tip of the nose is going to go, and typically the tip of the nose is the same as the width of one of your eyes. Okay, so you're just going to bring this information down to find the width of your nose. And then, but for this information may change. Some people's noses are a little bit shorter, some of them are a little bit longer, so you want to make sure you keep that information light. And then in addition to that, you want to divide this space in half in here. Yeah. Okay. And this line that I just drew is on the underside of your bottom lip. All right. So, and the width of people's mouths are typically, they line up with the center of your eyes. All right. So again, that piece of information may change. Some people have smaller or larger mouths. So that's going to be something that you're going to be looking at for how you're different from this. And then if you can see your ears, typically your ears at the top, they line up with your eyebrows, and the bottom lines up with the tip of your nose. So just so you're aware, this information comes from the Greeks. It still influences our concept of beauty today. We're constantly comparing ourselves and our models with this concept. And the truth is that nobody really meets all of these expectations. And when you notice how you are different from this, that's going to be what makes you look like you. So once you have the template in place, you can start like shading in. I would encourage you to draw your eyes last, but I encourage you also though to consider those eye sockets like as one of the first things, because that'll help you create your nose. And then we can remember how we did our nose studies earlier in our previous class. So the tip of my nose is kind of a rounded triangle, and it is slightly above, I think, where my nostrils are, the tip of my nose. And my nostrils are going to kind of go like that. Remember the darker line up on the top edge. right? And then you're going to use a softer line as you get further back. And then I'm going to use this information to kind of round out the tip of my nose and start to consider the shadows. So I've got a strong shadow on this side. Your size of your nose comes from your family ancestry. Those of us who come from warmer regions will have shorter and wider noses. And those of us from cooler regions will have longer, narrower noses. And that's to warm up the air that you're breathing. So let me study this. There's a little bit of a shadow right in there. Your nose also is, because it's made of cartilage, your nose and your ears continue to grow as you do, as you age. And so if you find yourself kind of aged a little bit, then I would encourage you to consider the size of your nose. If it doesn't look right in that sense. Okay, so you can see this kind of starting to come together a little bit. All right, and this comes down, and then I've got where my lips meet. And so there's like a slight curve. My mouth doesn't quite extend that far, but it is a little bit wider than my nose. So I'm just going to take a minute to study that piece. Notice I'm lifting up with my pencil. Okay, and then similar to our video, right, you have that kind of like upside down triangle, right, and then your ellipses, right, to kind of find it. My preference is to kind of do something a little light like that, right, and I'm lifting up, I'm starting where my lips meet, and they're creasing. My bottom lip is slightly fuller than my upper lip. I'm leaving a halo on my bottom lip. And then I'm going to come in and blend it a little bit more. And the shadow on the underside is going to be what makes that more successful. All right, and I'm going to use my eraser to come in and revisit my upper lip to give myself that halo, because we all know that that line really does not exist. All right, and then now that I'm starting to get this information a little bit more so, I'm going to come down and I'm going to get my chin. I'm going to see that my chin actually comes up about here in relationship with my mouth. So I'm looking at this information to reevaluate what's happening around in this space. Kind of tapers out. Okay. So your neck is going to attach, it attaches at the base of your ears. So that's another common mistake. People creating their neck, making necks that are too thin. So remember that your head carries a lot of weight. You can study the shadows that are happening down in this region. Try to hide your lines with your shadows. Got a shirt collar on here too that influences that. Okay. And then if I study my hairline, right, I can start to And then I've got like the darker pocket that's happening right there that runs up next to my face, and my hair kind of comes down. So I'm going to get rid of this edge right here. Right, and you can see the part in my hair. Notice to create my part, I'm just going to press down harder and then lift up as I come away. And I'm going to leave a space, so, and then on this side, and then I've got a darker pocket that's happening right here that comes down around the side of my face. And in here too at the underside. So I'm going to use my eraser to soften that piece right there. All right, so you can start to see that. Okay, and you would play that up more. And then you can see I'm going to come in and start to play with my eye a little bit here, so you can see how to introduce that. I've got more of a stronger shadow happening right in that region, so I want to develop that a little bit more. And then I'm going to come in and get the shape of my eye. The peak is closer to my nose, as we talked about earlier. Right, so my eyes rest right approximately on that line, right, and then they come. Okay, and here's my iris. And if you press harder, right, to imply those lashes, get your pupil. Think about your iris. Kind of shade in both sides, but leave that highlight. Consider your eyebrows. Mine are fairly close to my eye, and then they kind of taper as they come out. So you got that kind of dark patch thing happening there. All right, and then you're going to continue to come in and embellish by considering the shadows that are around. So common mistakes are the length of the nose, if you think about that your face might be aged. Also, if you think that you look too young, your eyes are probably too big, so that's another thing to consider, because our eyes are part of the first part that develops. So you'll notice even cartoonists exaggerate that concept when they draw little children. The eyes tend to be really big. So, you know, just some factors to consider as you're working, and to remember, you know, there's room for a lot of possibilities, and going back and reevaluate and building up what you're working on, thinking about the context and the environment. And as another thing, people tend to grow a little concerned because of they think that, you know, they're Caucasian, so therefore their skin tone shouldn't be so dark because of all of the shadows. And so I just want to remind you that you have an environment that you are in, right? And so when you create that environment and give yourself some context to be in, that totally changes the perception of your skin tone. All right, so enjoy.